there. I'm Amy Pattee Colvin, and I love thinking about and talking about and sharing ideas around energy flow in the body. I frame it as Qigong and compassion for self, for others. And I'm here with my friend Heather, who will introduce herself in a minute. And we're just having a series of spontaneous conversations that we wanted to share with you.
My name's Heather Scott, and I have an area of interest that I feel complements Amy, and that is that I care very much about people taking care of themselves in important ways so that when they're nurtured, they can go out into the world and feel fantastic and make an impact. And so we're having these conversations because we have different topics that we've discussed before, and we're going to explore them here.
Great. All right. Good morning, Heather. It's so nice to see you. Here we are with our
Amy.
coffee cups. Sometimes we meet in the afternoons for chat. Sometimes we meet in the mornings. And this morning, here we are. And we are going to talk about how less can show up and be more, or less for more if you want to narrow it down. And we're hoping to keep this one relatively concise to model what we're talking about. So if you're listening to this conversation and you like what we're talking about and you want more conversations around this kind of topic, drop a note in the comments and we would love to be able to support you in learning how to move into less for more.
I'd also like to offer that if they have examples of times where they've done less for more, I'd love to hear about that too. I I always like to hear examples of the gearing down that actually pays off.
Yeah, and truly, I mean, if you drop a note in the comments, I will respond or I can shoot it off to Heather and Heather can give her response. So, you know, we're there to support you in helping you have a healthier, more vibrant life. But one of the things that's really, really struck home for me in the last 6 weeks, um, is the fact that I had a fantastic trip to Scotland, and Heather and I have talked about that in a previous conversation about traveling to Scotland with me or traveling with me in general. Caught a chest cold there, powered my way through because I was facilitating the trip and running on adrenaline. And my batteries were getting more and more and more depleted. Flew home, landed on Saturday night, felt horrible on Sunday night. Monday was diagnosed with my pneumonia. And so for 2 weeks, literally, I hung out on the couch and watched a lot of movies. And all of that was great. And in my healing process, all of this was valuable and necessary. But it was an interesting eye-opener for somebody like me who likes to go and do and go and do. And I had not put together until this last 6 weeks that part of my go do, stay busy, keep going was driven by adrenaline rather than fully charged batteries. And so learning how to rest and be stimulus free, like literally laying on my far infrared amethyst biomat, which is the far infrared is great. If you don't have one, that's cool too. But laying there and doing nothing but breathing for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, 3 to 5 times a day. I wear a new tracker, a biometric tracker, and it was fascinating to look at the metrics in that on the days that I actually rested instead of pushing through on momentum driven by adrenaline.
I think that when you were saying about running on adrenaline instead of a fully charged battery, I have become present to that in my own life where I actually have been gearing down. I've been simplifying my life. I've been doing less. And I've been checking in with myself repeatedly. Is it okay to do less? Am I safe to do less? Can I trust that doing less is acceptable? I'll still be all right. People will still recognize me because I've done a lot of things in my life. And I was very busy for a number of years and didn't have time to contemplate what do I want to do today, or didn't have ever the opportunity to actually lay still and rest. And at this point in my life, when I do that, I notice that it's a little bit concerning to my regular way of being because is this okay? Am I allowed? Should I check with someone? What if mine is, what if I gear all the way down and I forget to gear back up? I forget to know how to do that. Like, because sometimes you do need to do a lot of things, but this is such a quiet, contemplative place. When I think of doing less in the traditional external sense and actually reaping more, or even being perceived that I I'm delivering more because I'm doing less. It's a big mind shift based on our society of, I always laugh because people say things like, well, I went on a huge walk today, so I've earned my dinner. I always laugh because I think, well, I didn't go on a huge walk and I'm still likely going to eat dinner. I mean, that's still going to happen. So there's sort of this earning feeling that I've experienced in conversations.
Yes, and I also think that, and I think you and I are wired relatively similarly, and many folks that might be listening to us might be wired the same way, where there's that social driven norm of proving your worth. And so when you talk about gearing down, am I safe to be doing nothing? It's been really interesting for me. Like for that first 3 weeks back, I had to cancel every appointment off my schedule, all my massages, any video conversations. I mean, the number of times I've canceled on you, I'm like, hey, I can't do it. Um, Social engagements and so on and so forth. And sitting, once I got well enough to be off the couch, spending more time in my garden and thinking to myself, what would life be like if I just hung out in my garden more, or I did glass mosaic work more, or I did the things I mean, my goodness gracious, that top shelf is a whole collection of the Louise Penny books, and I read I think three before I left for Scotland, then I finished the entire series. And so just pulling back from being seen and being okay with that, pulling back from external validation and shifting that into internal validation, knowing that I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I like me as I am. And me just puttering in the garden. You said something, I don't know, a few weeks ago to me about that, where you just really want to be in your garden and deal with, you know, planting flowers and enjoying the fact that you're growing flowers. And I'm like, God, how healthy is that compared to, well, I want to be the next $1 million influencer. It's like, oh my God, no.
Well, and one of the things I two things about gardening. One is the weeds don't ask questions. They don't have opinions. They don't talk back. They're just it's very peaceful. It's very peaceful. And I love engaging with people. I love connection. I love having conversations with you and others. And it is very restful. And I experiment with sometimes I need to have my phone on me because I'm expecting a call or someone's arranging something. But I've been experimenting leaving my phone away from me. And part of the work I do is being available and not on call officially, but just, being able to touch base and be responsive. It's just, and it's what I like to do. I like responsiveness, so I like to be that. And when I leave my phone in the house, it's almost like an act of rebellion. I'm like, oh, I'm not available. Nobody can reach me. Yeah, it's such a little shift. And you said something about earning through productivity, or yes, earning your worth through productivity. And I almost think that it's something for me of can I just be? Is less performative actually, I don't know if I want to say more powerful, but powerful in a different way and settled like a full deep breath. And I mean, given what you've been recovering from, a full deep breath is not something you want to take for granted.
Yes. And going back to what you were just saying, to me, when you choose not to perform, what bubbled up for me in the midst of what you were saying is that you're serving your soul, by not being so out there and just bringing things back in, taking those deep breaths, choosing to not be tethered to the phone. All of that is serving your soul in
Yes.
whatever way soul might mean to you.
Yes, and what I've been starting to notice, and who knows, I mean, the jury's out, there's no hard evidence, but as I've been sort of pulling back and nurturing me in these ways that, like I say, it's so simple and yet it feels sort of rebellious to just do my own thing, to not have plans. I had no plans for midday last weekend and I got given free tickets to a play. And my friend and I were able to go. So sometimes there's an actual reward for doing less or having less booked. But I notice that my nervous system feels a bit agitated if I have empty space or a lot of quiet. I've started noticing that doing less means sometimes means reaching out to people less.
Mhm.
And and is there anything wrong with that? No, it's perfectly fine. And in terms of nurturing my soul, when I pull that energy back in, I feel like who I am is like a stronger, clearer signal
Right.
for me and for other people. So they know what I'm reliable for. Oh, I haven't heard from Heather in a while, but I'd like to do this. And sort of that, I don't know, like a signature effect or something like that, which like I say, I'm just experimenting with.
Yeah, and I think that too goes hand in hand with the idea of really tuning into what you want to do instead of what you feel you ought to do. So I was having a conversation with a friend the other day. She'd been invited to go hiking. She said yes. She likes to hike with one or two other people. And the person who was facilitating this particular hike invited more people, invited more people, invited more people. And my friend said, I'm dressed and ready to go, but I don't think I want to. And this is all via text. And I just said, well, don't go. I said, what's your resistance to not going? Well, I told this person that I would do it. And I said, yes, she's changed the game on you. Listen to what you want from the inside and follow that.
Yes, and even more of an experiment, in my view, if that person said no, that other person still gets to go on a hike because there's so many other people. For me, the real challenge is if I all of a sudden notice that I need to say no and it's going to end the experience for the other person because then it will be nothing or they'll have to choose something else. And that is a different level of, you know, can I can I make that call for myself? And I've been experimenting with what do I need? What do I want? And just as a sort of funny observation, I'm wondering when have I actually asked myself and actually listened? Like, is this kind of new? It feels, I mean, sometimes obviously I've needed or wanted something and it's happened, but it feels much more contemplative these
Well, and
days.
I think that you and I are at a stage where we can do that. And from my perspective, and I'm guessing you'd agree, but you can say yay or nay in a minute, the way I look at doing less and gaining more is not eschewing all of the responsibilities that you have in life. For example, it's not like, oh, I never need to earn another dime. I'm just going to do less and never do more. I'm going to choose not to work and
Right.
just sit on the couch and eat bonbons. No, that's not it. But what I choose to work on, the projects I choose to accept, the clients I choose to work with, that is now more considered. And it's not that hustle. It's like, okay, how do I feel about this? In fact, just yesterday I had a cold call for a client that wanted to come in, and it just wasn't, I would have loved to have helped, but it's not something I can do right now. So I'm like, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. And being okay with that And at the same time, knowing
Yeah.
that I'm not being a slacker.
Right. Well, and then it goes to what you've explored quite a bit in some of your courses, which is the inner critic. So thank you for your opinion, but I'm good. Or I don't know what you're trying to help me with. Maybe I can engage with that, but I also am just going to make this call. When you were saying it a moment ago, it's about, and for me, it's an intentionally curated life. So today I don't work for my regular 9 to 5 job. Today is a day where I choose the things that I put in my day. So I've put in you, I've put in a visit with a friend out in the west end of the city, and I'm swinging by to have dinner with my mother on the way back. And those are things that are filling up my day, but they are intentionally chosen and agreed to by me without without the shoulds as much. It's,
Yeah.
hey, so do I want this? Will I put this in? Even to the point of you and I booking this time and me saying this time would really work for me. And when we finish, I will have time before I need to leave the house. So I can go and water my plants, I can prep my lunch, I can do the things. So the intentionality, and honestly, the intentionality feels so indulgent, magical, or wow, I can just decide and choose and make it work for me. And so when you say less for more, it's not about not doing anything. But for me, it's not only the things, but also the energy. I'm not, I don't need to give, everybody jokes about 110%. I don't need to give 110% or even 100% to be effective, present, um, considerate, or connecting. I don't have to do the extra 5 back handsprings. I can just say hi, here we are, and how are you today, and connect. It's less for more.
And then the only other thing that I would add to that, and then you can wrap it up, but is as we intentionally choose to do that, the benefit that we're providing to our nervous system is immense.
Oh,
It's so powerful.
so good.
And
Oh.
the more we can support our immune systems, the more we can learn about them and learn how to regulate them, the better the better we will be for ourselves and for everybody else, even if we're just offering small doses. I mean, it's amazing.
So true. I have this thing now where when I get in the door after a day, I often go and meditate for 15 or 20 minutes because I view it as kind of the clearing. I take that and I clear it out and I set my intention for my evening and I have the evening that I choose. But I think you're right. With nervous system regulation, I've been experimenting with doing one technique right before I go to sleep. I've been doing um, various degrees of like tapping or different releases to allow my nervous system to know that yes, it's good. Everything is fine here. We are safe. It is because I think that and maybe you know this, the raised cortisol levels or the adrenaline that goes with that is so hard on our bodies. God bless, it's so hard on our bodies. Oh,
Yeah.
and this is the only place I get to live right now is in this particular body, and I want to be gentler with it because, gosh, I drove it like hiya for so many years. Like, go, come on, you don't get to rest. You have to just keep going. And gosh, just even thinking, oh, you know what? I think I need to sit down before I do my next task. Yeah, that 5 minutes isn't going to change the course of the world. I mean, I can just be kind to myself for a moment. It's so funny to think how much a difference it makes for me and how it's such a little tweak, but it can make such a difference.
And that little tweak and its example of less, it's not a huge thing.
It is not triple back handsprings. I also want to acknowledge that you have beautiful flowers on your back um, bookcase. They are so beautiful, and there are 3. And I've seen your gardens, and I know that it could be a huge bouquet. It could be 5 of those, and I just think they're so beautiful. And I just appreciate the simplicity of them.
Mm.
And just like I'm appreciating when I move my life towards more simplicity. It's so I just appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for your compliments on the flowers. And, you know, simplicity. In fact, the very first little book that I put together, this one over there, that's the title, Simplicity is Good. For all of you that happen to watch this today, go out, make a conversation with yourself, have a conversation with yourself and say, okay, what can I pull out today that I didn't know that I could pull out and still have a great day?
Yes, yes. Minimalism. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, I look forward to the next one. I'll see
More
you
in the
later.
future.
Okay,
Bye for
bye.
now.